The first single malt Scotch that I absolutely fell in love with is this bad boy. Today, we're finally gonna do a review of it. Finally. Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and if you haven't done so already, smash that like button and subscribe. Helps us out a ton, and we appreciate your guys' support so much. But let's get into the bottle we're here to review today, which is Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban. This is, again, like I said in the intro, the first single malt Scotch that I absolutely fell in love with. It is a 14-year-old single malt Scotch from Glenmorangie that has been finished in ruby port barrels and is 46% ABV. So it isn't lower proof, and that's honestly probably one of the more reasons that I fell in love with it, because you will find these like amazing wine finished Scotches, but you won't find any of them cheap with a real like proof point that will bring a substantial amount of flavor, at least in my opinion. Again, I'm crazy about, proof. But let's go ahead and get in this. Basically, 14-year-old port finished Glenmorangie single malt Scotch. And so we have technically tasted this on the channel previously. We did like a flight tasting, one of our first videos. It's very terrible video production quality, very terrible everything, lighting, camera, everything about it was god awful. But we did do a tasting. I'll go ahead and link that above below. We just did a tasting of all the Glenmorangie like wine finishes, so the 12, the 14, the original 10, and then the, I don't remember what the other one is. But yeah, it's up there below. It was pretty solid, a lot of fun, and honestly, if you guys are able to find that set at like a Total Wine like where we did, definitely pick it up. I suggest it. It's a very fun exercise of kind of finishings and what they are and what it does. But let's go ahead and get into the bottle we're here to do today. 46%, 14-year-old port finished single malt Scotch. And on the nose, sweet, honey, earthiness. A bit of like that like Scotch barley taste, but it's not overpowering at all. It's very subdued and like in the background. Getting a little bit of like a fruitiness, kind of like a plum, red apples, pears. It's very, very sweet overall though. A little floralness in there. But basically it's just a lot of rich, vibrant fruits and honey sweetness. Little bit of grapes on that last smell, but overall, again, floral, rich, vibrant sweetness. Let's go ahead and get on the palate. So on the palate there, that's where that like barley note that I get in a lot of single malt Scotches is kind of, it's coming up. Was very subdued on the nose, but it's starting to come out a lot more on the palate. But it's also bringing a lot darker, richer, kind of like plums, dates, that kind of sweetness. Still very honey sweetness, but it's a lot earthier and dark fruits, whereas the palate was a lot sweeter, lighter, floral. Still getting a nice little bit of like a maple syrup, a little bit of grapes, but it is very like dark, rich fruits and like this earthy aspect. Little bit of oak there on the finish, and kind of goes from that like rich, fruity, floral, like dark plums and dates, and then kind of goes into this, I would say like a oaky earthiness, a little bit of honey that follows along it. Very, very nice though. Not the nose, very sweet. The palate still kind of, it starts off like sweet and fruity, and it gets a lot earthier as it prolongs into what I would say is a moderate finish. It's not mind-bogglingly long, but it is also not short at all. It goes the distance. So overall, moderate finish, very complex. The palate is a ride. It is slightly bready, earthy. I got the same note on a previous review, but it's like this like fig Newton-y kind of like date filled like sweetness with a little breadiness. There's a little bit breadiness, but that might also be kind of like overshadowed by like the earthiness that I'm getting as well. Very, very amazing bottle though. I know I didn't mention this previously, but this is around a $55, $60-ish bottle. So for single malt Scotch, not cheap, but also not really expensive. So it is, I would say, not a budget Scotch, because $65 is not even close to budget, but it's rich, dense flavors, viscous, very, very nice for that price in Scotch. So I think overall, I'm gonna have to give it a B+. I think a B+ is a fitting grade. It's rich, it's viscous, it's bringing a lot of dark, rich, fruity flavors, a lot of like really nice notes from Scotch into there. And I think you don't get that rich fruitiness on a lot of Scotches that are sub $60. Like even some Scotches I've had that are $80 aren't as good as this. So I think overall it's a B+. It's not quite at that point where I'm gonna say like A++++, because it is it's simple, it's rich, but it's also not like going into too many categories. It's dark fruits, sweetness, earthiness, a little bit of breadiness, but it's not insanely complex. It's very fig Newton with a little bit of like honeyed sweetness on it. Overall, Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans as a whole gives Quinta Ruban just a B-. It's good, but it's not great. But yeah, please do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you guys thought about this video, and let us know what you guys think about this bottle. I know this is kind of one of those ones where it's hit and miss, because Scotch is a tough one for me to grade, but you know, I do really like this bottle. I think it's really good. It's just not quite great for me. Also, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and the Patreon. The link for that is in the description below. But we appreciate you guys so much for the support. That's a wrap for this one. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.